are you today?
Good. My name is Amy Fowler.
Okay. So for today, we're going to be filling out your intake form and getting some information about your personal history and just some stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. So your name is Amy. You're Amy Fowler. Okay. So, how old are you?
31.
Okay. And what city do you live in?
Seattle.
Okay. And what's your address?
521 Chestnut.
Okay. And what's the zip code?
75621.
And how about your phone number? Do you have a home phone number?
No.
A work phone number or a cell phone number?
A cell phone number is appropriate. 214-825-1234.
All right. And what's the best time to call?
Probably during the evening hours. I would say anytime from 5 to about 8:30.
Okay. And what is your social security number?
It is 234-56-7891.
Okay. And who are you employed by?
Actually, I work at Trinity Episcopal Hospital.
Okay. And how long have you been working there?
This specific hospital, I would say about 7 years.
Okay. And what is your position?
I am the lead surgeon in the neurology department.
Okay. And what other kind of work have you had before you became the lead surgeon at this hospital?
Well, I kind of worked my way up to the status that I was at. While I was going through medical school, I used my RN degree to work in nursing, and then went through medical school and started to do just general surgery, and then eventually specialized in the neuroscience.
Okay. So so you said you went to medical school, so you've been through college, and so medical school is your last type of school that you completed?
Yes.
Are you married, or what is your marital status?
I am currently married.
Okay. How long have you been married?
Well, I'm actually remarried, but in my current marriage, I have been married for 3 years.
Okay. So, what is your husband's name?
Baldwin Fowler.
Okay. And how old is he?
He's 30.
Okay. And what does he do for work?
He is actually an self-employed abstract artist. He does some graphic design on the side.
Okay. And how many prior marriages have you had?
Just one.
Okay. And how about your husband?
He was never married, but he had a child, and I do have a stepdaughter. Okay, through that relationship.
Okay. So how many children do you have?
Well, I have my 6-year-old daughter, Emily. my 4-year-old boy. His name's Zachary. And then with my current husband, I have a 2-month-old, and his name's Roxas.
Okay.
And of course, my stepdaughter, her name's Aria, and she's 8 years old. She doesn't live with us.
And how do you spell your 2-month-old's name?
Roxas.
Okay. And so you said that your stepdaughter doesn't live with you?
Correct.
Okay. Alright. And have you ever been to counseling for any reason?
Not before now.
Okay. So you're not presently working with another counselor or psychologist?
No.
Okay. Are you involved in, you're not involved in any other marriage, family counseling, or any kind of support groups or anything?
No.
Okay, could you briefly state the nature of the problem as you see it, why you've come here today?
Well, I'm having a hard time functioning normally.
Okay.
It's kind of something that has come up over the last 1.5 years, I would say. I'm not sleeping well, even though I'm on medicine for that. But I'm constantly aware of how disorganized things are.
Okay.
Like I was fixing things in your lobby before I walked in.
Okay.
Because it wasn't straight or perpendicular or whatever. And I can't go to sleep unless I have at least cleaned the kitchen immaculately. Like, I mean, it's gotten to the point where I will wash the same counter off several times. And it's like I have this like in the back of my mind, this like itch that until I finish it or until I fix it, I can't settle. I can't like focus. I can't sleep. I have to fix it. And it really is just affecting me, I think, both at home and at work.
Okay.
And I can't function normally.
All right. Well, what do you expect to gain from counseling?
Well, I guess maybe a better way of seeing this or handling this or just figuring out what it is, or, you know, I'm just trying to regain some normalcy that I haven't had for a while. And it doesn't help that I have a baby in this process.
I can imagine. So you just kind of want to get a better outlook on life and kind of get to where these things aren't bothering you as much.
And not taking control of my life.
Okay. Well, that's something we can definitely work on. Were you referred to this counseling office? Did somebody refer you? A family member, friend, or someone?
No, not by someone that I knew.
Okay.
It was like an online sort of thing.
Okay.
Not that I like researched it, but it was like it's like a blog.
Okay.
Sort of thing.
Okay. What is your religious preference?
Christian.
Okay. Do you go to church?
Yeah, we go to a non-denominational church sometimes.
Okay. How strong is the influence of the church in your life?
Moderate influence, I would say.
What is your pastor's name? The pastor of the church.
Barack Kuthrapali.
Do you have a spelling for that last name?
Koothrappali.
Okay. So now we're going to move on to your medical history. Do you have a family physician?
Not currently. We're kind of in the middle of trying to find a new physician.
Okay. And you don't have a psychologist or psychiatrist?
No.
Okay. Are you taking any prescription drugs? I think you mentioned.
Yeah, I take Lunesta for sleep.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm in the middle of trying to find a new doctor, and so it's kind of difficult to continue with, prescriptions when you're in the middle of transition and just things of that sort, and getting that paperwork switched over. So sometimes I have to hassle with pharmacies to get the prescriptions refilled, and so it messes with my sleep. And
okay. Who prescribed this prescription?
My old doctor, Jack Johnson.
Okay. So you don't see this doctor anymore, or how often did you see him whenever?
Well, we don't see him anymore because we moved to a new area of town. And also I wanted a physician that maybe could incorporate more of the entire family instead of just, like an adult doctor or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
Just for convenience reasons as well.
Exactly. It's understandable. Can you describe your physical health? Would you say that you have excellent health, good health, adequate health, or poor health?
I'd say good.
And are you taking any prescription drugs for emotional distress?
No.
Okay. Have you ever been hospitalized for mental illness or substance abuse?
No.
All right. Now we're going to talk about the impact of some life circumstances that have happened. Have you ever experienced the death of anyone, like a spouse, a child, your parents, siblings, or your grandparents, or a friend?
Well, my father passed away, but it was before I was really able to understand what was going on. I mean, I was little, so I didn't really ever know him. I have a stepfather that he's an excellent person. My grandparents have both passed away, and it was cancer.
And so you've gone through divorce. Were y'all separated before divorced, or was it kind of just something that happened?
Well, he was just. Some of it could have been affected by some of these issues that I'm having, but he just. Sometimes he was hard to live with, and with the practical things, but also just he wasn't very emotionally available. He was very emotionally aloof.
Okay.
But no, we were never really separated until it became officialized,
okay.
Especially for the kids.
Okay. Have you ever had thoughts about suicide, or ever experienced anything with suicide?
No.
Okay. Have you ever had a miscarriage or an abortion or anything? Ever experienced bankruptcy, homelessness, career or job loss?
No.
Did you experience any child abuse growing up? Any physical, emotional, sexual, or incest?
I mean, sometimes it was difficult with my mom. She was I wouldn't say she was abusive. It's just, she had lost her husband, and it was hard for her sometimes to cope. And it didn't really necessarily get better when she remarried either. So I guess you could say at times she was a little emotionally abusive, but it stemmed from that.
Okay. Have you ever had any physical, emotional, or sexual abuse from a spouse?
Well, I mean, unless you consider emotional neglect abuse, no.
Okay. Have you ever been abandoned? Have you ever been robbed or assaulted? Or ever experienced anything with rape? Okay. In auto or an industrial accident?
I mean, I've gotten in a car wreck before, but it was more of a fender bender sort of thing, and I didn't get injured or anything.
Okay. Have you ever had a major illness, surgery, or physical disability? Or have you ever been alienated from your family or friends or anything?
No, I mean, any distance that I would have from my family is just because I don't really live near them.
Okay. Would you say that you have any relationship problems with your spouse or your children or your parents, or in-laws, or coworkers, or friends?
Well, my mom can be pretty judgmental. My husband, he's great, and I mean, we're just kind of practical sort of people, so we're not like overly emotional about things. Sometimes it's difficult with his job, or sometimes not having much work when it comes to his art. I mean, he can stay pretty steady when it comes to the design parts of that, but it can be straining whenever he's not having a whole lot of buyers.
Okay. Have you ever struggled with alcohol problems or street drugs or anything like that?
I used to be a little excessive in the consumption of alcohol, but it wasn't something where it affected my life too much. I just kind of had to stop.
Okay. So you don't, I mean, you take a prescription drug, but you wouldn't say it's something that you would have a problem with. Like, you don't abuse prescription drugs or...
No, I mean, it's just, I don't sleep like I should.
It's sometimes hard getting your refills when you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And all these issues don't help that at all. Nor a baby.
Yeah, I'm sure it can be hard with not sleeping and going through with a new baby and stuff. Have you ever had problems with binge eating or excessive dieting or exercising?
No.
Do you have problems with shopping too much, or do you think that you work too much?
Well, I mean, being in the medical field, you just kind of, you have crazy schedules.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously I'm off right now because of, having just had a child, but whenever I am working, it can get pretty hectic. And it's going to be more difficult when I have to go back because of having a child and all that. But it's helpful that my husband can pretty much either work from home or set his own schedules or,
That's good. It's good that you're having some time off with your child right now. Have you ever been a procrastinator? Had any problems with procrastination? Just
no.
Putting things off? Do you have any problems with communicating with people, or do you experience any depression or anger or grief about anything?
Well, I mean, this whole situation just kind of makes me frustrated at myself. But then also, it strains other relationships because they don't understand how annoying sometimes things can be when it's not coming together or it's not, um, it's not done correctly or, and, I mean, but did that answer the question?
Yeah. Have you ever had any gender identity issues or issues with sex or career or anything? Do you experience loneliness or mood swings?
I mean, I would say sometimes I get pretty angry or, yeah, I would say angry is the right word, when it comes to not being able to control things, not being able to control my environment or, how clean things are or aren't, or germs, that's a big one.
Okay. So it kind of make you uncomfortable when things are not in your control and you know that they're definitely going to kind of set off some feelings that you have about things being out of order and stuff like that. Okay, so would you say that you have any self-esteem issues?
I mean, if any, it's stemming from divorce and just kind of, lack of emotional support through all of that. And I mean, it's hard.
Okay. Any codependency problems where you feel like you just need to depend on your husband more than
No,
usually?
I've always been pretty independent, which could also help some of the issues.
Okay. Do you have stress issues? Are you stressed out a lot?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do you have any fear or anxiety?
Well, anxiety coming with the whole not being able to control things and not having things in order.
Okay. Any feelings about church or God that you would like to address throughout this process?
Yeah, I mean, I know that he's there, and I know that he's helping me through things, but, sometimes it's hard to see all of that through the circumstances of life.
Okay.
And it's hard to focus on those sorts of things when I feel like I'm not in control. And I know that's the whole idea, is that, you're not going to be in control, but when it starts to become something where you're not sleeping or functioning or, it's just kind of like, why, So
we can definitely try to come to some closure about that. Okay, so in your current situation with any emotional distress, you said you've never had any suicidal thoughts or plans or attempts with suicide.
No.
Any homicidal thoughts or plans?
Well, I mean, I have an ex-husband, so there you go.
He just kind of, I can tell that can be an agitation.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's pretty agitating.
All right. Any desire to cause pain to yourself or others?
No, not really.
Okay. Do you ever have fear for your life or your personal safety?
No.
Okay. Are you ever too depressed to care for yourself or your family?
No, because the obsession stems like with that, and so like if I wasn't cooking or if I wasn't cleaning or if things weren't getting done, then it would be worse. So it was kind of like one of those things where the madness drives the productivity.
Okay. Alright, well, that's going to be all for this first session. We'll get together in about a week to try to go over things and figure out how we're going to go with this and some goals and stuff. So if I could just get you to sign this for me, saying that everything you told me was honest and you did provide everything on this form.